Hello students, this is Dr. Gaurav and today I'm going to focus on inversion and eversion of foot. Now what to do if you get a note on inversion and eversion of foot? So let us see. First of all, let us define inversion. Inversion is a movement in which medial border of foot is elevated so that the sole faces medially. So here we see the foot in the normal position, while here we see the medial border of the foot. This is elevated and the sole is facing medially, so this movement is called inversion of foot. In contrast is the eversion. Eversion is a movement in which lateral border of foot is elevated so that the sole faces laterally. So here we have the lateral border of the foot and it is elevated so that the sole is facing laterally. So this movement is eversion of foot. So students, first of all, you are required to define inversion and eversion, and then you have to draw the diagram of inversion and eversion. And as you can see in this diagram, this is the foot in the normal position. This is the foot in the inverted position when the medial border is elevated and the sole faces medially, while here the lateral border is elevated and the sole faces laterally. So this is the foot in the everted position. Then what are the main joints at which inversion and eversion is taking place? Well, they take place at two main joints. The first joint is the subtalar joint or the talocalcaneal joint. So we see here in this figure, this is the subtalar joint. This is the talus and this is the calcaneum. And this joint, the second joint is the talocalcaneonavicular joint. This is the talus, this is the navicular bone, and this is the calcaneum. So the articular surfaces are shown shaded darker. So here we can make out that this is the joint cavity of the talocalcaneonavicular joint. Yes, both the joints, the talocalcaneonavicular joint and the subtalar joints, they are separated by this sinus tarsi. Now, first of all, we come to the subtalar joint or the talocalcaneal joint. As I told you before, the articular surfaces have been shaded darker here. So, this is the cavity of the subtalar joint. So, what are the articular surfaces? There is a concave facet, this one, on the inferior surface of body of talus, and convex facet, this one, on the middle one-third of superior surface of calcaneum. And the type of joint is synovial joint of plane variety. So we are doing the main joints which are responsible for the movement of inversion and eversion, and we have described the subtalar joint or the talocalcaneal joint. Next is the talocalcaneonavicular joint. So here the head of talus, this one, fits into a socket formed partly by the navicular bone, this one, and partly by the calcaneum here. This joint is a synovial joint of ball and socket variety. So there are two main joints involved in inversion and eversion of foot. And we also have the accessory joints. And what are the accessory joints? The accessory joints are the calcaneocuboid joint and the talonavicular joint. So here in the superior view, we can make out the calcaneocuboid joint and the talonavicular joint, which are the accessory joints. Together, they are referred to as the transverse tarsal joint. And this transverse tarsal joint, students, demarcates the forefoot from hindfoot. So these are the components of forefoot, while these are the components of hindfoot. So the accessory joint is the transverse tarsal joint, which in turn is made up of two joints, the calcaneocuboid joint and the talonavicular joint. So let us describe the transverse tarsal joint now. The calcaneocuboid joint, the articular surfaces are the opposed articular surfaces of calcaneum and cuboid, and this is the cavity of the calcaneocuboid joint. And which type of joint this is? This is synovial joint of saddle variety. When we come to the talonavicular joint, this is a part of the talocalcaneonavicular joint. So we can say that the transverse tarsal joint is made up of 1.5 joints, one joint being calcaneocuboid joint and half joint being the talonavicular joint, because talonavicular joint is a part of the talocalcaneonavicular joint. Therefore, we can say that the transverse tarsal joint is made up of 1.5 joints. Now, then you have to mention the axis of movement, that is the axis along which inversion and eversion takes place. So it is an oblique axis passing from back of calcaneum through sinus tarsi to emerge at superomedial aspect of neck of talus. So here in red, I have drawn the axis of inversion and eversion. So it is passing through back of calcaneum. This bone is the calcaneum. This axis passes through the sinus tarsi and it emerges at superomedial aspect of neck of talus. This is the side view, and now if we come to the superior view, we can again make out the oblique axis here. Now this is the superior view passing from back of calcaneum through sinus tarsi to emerge at the superomedial aspect of the neck of talus. So students, you have to mention that there is an axis along which inversion and eversion takes place. So once again, this is the side view of the axis. It passes through the sinus tarsi, back of calcaneum and superomedial aspect of neck of talus. And this is the superior view. Once again, you can see the axis of inversion and eversion of foot. So when you get a question on inversion and eversion of foot, don't forget to make these diagrams. Okay, diagram of the joints, diagram of inversion and eversion, diagram of the axis along which inversion and eversion takes place. Then define inversion and eversion, describe the joints, the main joints, that is at which inversion and eversion takes place, the accessory joints at which inversion and eversion takes place, and then you have to describe the range of movements. Now, out of inversion and eversion, you can do it yourself and see it. You will find that the range of inversion is more than eversion. So here in this diagram now, this diagram we have done when we did the ankle joint, we can make out the talus, the tibia, the lateral malleolus, the medial malleolus of tibia. We can make out the calcaneum. So I want you to focus on two ligaments here. This one is the cervical ligament, while this one is the interosseous talocalcaneal ligament. So these are two ligaments which are binding the talus with the calcaneum. So out of this, the cervical ligament becomes taut. Taut means tight in inversion and limits this movement. So the range of inversion is more than eversion, but when we are performing the inversion, which ligament limits this movement? It is the cervical ligament. And the range of eversion is lesser compared to inversion, and which ligament gets tight and limits eversion? That is the interosseous talocalcaneal ligament. So this one is cervical ligament which gets taut in inversion and limits this movement. This is the interosseous talocalcaneal ligament which gets tight in eversion and limits this movement. So do mention, students, the range of movement also. And then the most important part, the muscles which are performing inversion and eversion. So there is a principal muscle and there are accessory muscles. So the principal muscles for inversion of foot are the two muscles on the medial aspect of the foot. So one is the tibialis anterior and the other is the tibialis posterior. So tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior, there are two thick muscles. They are attached to tibia. Tibia is which bone? Medial bone or lateral bone? It is the medial bone. So this bone, medial bone, two major muscles attached to this medial bone, they are responsible for inversion. They are the principal muscles of inversion, and they are the tibialis anterior, which is placed anterior to tibia, and tibialis posterior, which is placed posterior to tibia. And accessory muscles means the muscles which help in inversion. They are the two flexors who are long, 140 thumb and 140 digits. That is the flexor hallucis longus and the flexor digitorum longus. So these are the muscles which are responsible for inversion, and this movement is inversion when the medial border is elevated and the sole faces medial. So two muscles, tibialis anterior and tibialis posterior, attached to tibia on the anterior and posterior aspects. Tibia being the medial bone, they are the principal muscles which are producing inversion, and the long flexors at the back of the leg, flexor hallucis longus and the flexor digitorum longus, they are responsible for inversion of foot, but these two are the accessory muscles. Now, muscles producing eversion. Well, all the peroneal muscles, peroneus longus, peroneus brevis, peroneus tertius, they produce eversion. But peroneus longus and brevis are the principal muscles producing eversion, while peroneus tertius is the accessory muscle which is producing eversion, a movement in which the lateral border of the foot is elevated so that the sole faces laterally. So peroneus tertius is not at all a bulky muscle, it's a smaller muscle, and peroneus longus and peroneus brevis, these are the two muscles of the lateral compartment of the leg, and so muscles of the lateral compartment of the leg are the muscles which are the principal muscles responsible for eversion of foot, while the accessory muscle is another peroneal muscle, but this muscle is of the anterior compartment of leg, lateral muscle, which is called the peroneus tertius. So last but not the least is the functional significance of inversion and eversion. Well, the these movements, inversion and eversion, are performed voluntarily when the foot is off the ground. Okay, when the foot is on the ground, these movements help us to adjust on uneven ground. So when the surface is not even, it's uneven and the foot is placed here. So it may be raised on one side, it may be raised on the other side. So the foot may be inverted or everted, and it helps us to stand on the uneven ground. And in both inversion and eversion, entire part of foot below talus moves together. So this is the functional significance of inversion and eversion. So this is a very frequently asked question in the examinations. So define these movements, tell the main joints at which these movements occur, tell the accessory joints at which these movements occur, draw the diagram of these movements, make the axis of these movements, define the axis of these movements, and then name the muscles responsible for these movements. And when you do so at the end, tell the functional significance and the range of these movements. And then you will complete this answer to the satisfaction of the examiner, and then your attempt will fetch you good. So I hope you do well in your examinations, and this question, inversion and eversion of foot, I hope it is now addressed in your minds, and I hope you will cement it in your minds with your efforts and perform well in your examinations. So thank you, students, for your time and cooperation. I am overwhelmed by the response which I am receiving from you, and it is the response from you which makes me uh, do these recordings. So kindly keep responding, and I promise you I'll keep on recording these lectures and putting them up for you. Thank you so much. Tata, bye bye. See you next time. Okay.